Teachers, what was the worst thing a substitute teacher did while you were gone? When I was a substitute, I got a lot of requested jobs because the substitute pool was poor. One such example given to me was a substitute who would just go to sleep. I barely believed it. Once I was teaching full-time, I had a sub come in for a day. When I got back, my students told me that he told them to leave him alone, sat down, and went to sleep. I believed it then. I would occasionally give out starbursts to my 4th graders. Bitch ate all the pink ones. This is the funniest reply in the thread. Next time op only left Bean Boozled jelly beans. Or a bag of Skittles filled with nothing but the bad zombie Skittles smile. Shittles. I was a teacher's assistant while in college. The teacher and I took a week-long workshop and had a sub. The worst thing she did. Not letting the kids go potty. It was in kindergarten and she said all the kids going to bathroom were interrupting the class. One girl wet herself. School policy was if kids under a certain age had an accident, the nurse would give them a pull-up, basically a diaper, to wear. The substitute proceeded to make fun of the girl for wear a diaper, calling her baby and such. The little girl ended facing repercussions at home too. It was devastating to hear about. I came back after being gone one day and my students told me the substitute teacher flipped over tables in a rage and was escorted from the building by a cop. What actually happened is that the sub left the room to take a 20 minutes phone call and the kids thought it would be funny to flip the tables over. The substitute then had to flip the tables right side up while yelling at the kids. Then, during lunch, my special ed co-teacher came into my room to set up and caught the sub making out with a student. Turns out she was 18 to his 25 and the 20 minutes phone call was to set up the lunch meeting. The principal then had him escorted from the building by the resource officer. This is why I say having a sub is more work than just coming into school my damn self. Edit, wrong version of principal. I'll just come do it my damn self. Lol, that's how I see you pep talking yourself when you're wanting a day off but don't want the drama. Gave out snacks I bought with my own money that I kept for kids who stayed after to get tutoring. Threw out a broken electric pencil sharpener that kids broke in front of her. Which again, I bought with my own money and couldn't get replaced by the company because I had no product to send back. I still don't have a sharpener for my room. Let the kids go through my things in my cabinets and desk. Lost a bunch of stuff that way. Hey 29 Mick 152, Amazon delivers all over the world. Where can I send you a pencil sharpener? Edit, thank you all for your Reddit acts of kindness. You all cleaned out the teacher's wish list in an hour. How wonderful you are. Edit, list is empty. Only gift cards now for snack and replenishment. I had a teacher Amazon list. So many of you gave what you could. I'm so thankful, and when my kids finally are able to come back in January they'll have something closer to normal to start with. I started the week by taking out a paid day loan and debating with my husband about postponing or skipping Thanksgiving this year. Completely unrelated to teaching, but still sucky, this brought me a much needed lift. If you wanted to help me out, please check out Donors Choose or #Clearthelist to pay it forward to other teachers. Thank you all so much. I'll post again as I receive things and get my classroom set up for our hybrid return. Thank you all so much. Feels like a weight is off my shoulders. This year has been tough for all my kids and myself, and we're planning on going hybrid, and I'm feeling so much more prepared to get them back a piece of some normalcy and some fun. Like my ducks and the Jolly Ranchers. 1. Asked a deaf kid to take off his hearing aids. Kids tried to tell her he needs to them, but to her they look like headphones. She cried when was confronted by another teacher. 2. When I was in 6th grade I fractured my wrist, but it was my dominant hand so I had to poorly write with my right. Teacher forced me to write with my left while I had a cast. I couldn't even grasp the pencil. Cried a lot. Then a couple months go by and got my cast off. Sub told me to suck it up and write with my left hours after getting my cast off. I felt like jelly and intense pain. Teacher was fired at the end of 7th grade because of unnecessary complaints. Edit, I should have realized this was a teacher's question, not a student queue. This is considered my first post that I really thought wouldn't get noticed, and now my inbox is full of messages. To clear some questions, I would never steal someone's story, and both stories are very true but probably be something similar you have encountered before. Also, that teachers should know how to treat students in any situation whatsoever. If teachers really hate their jobs, don't include kids into it. I remember crying asking my mom, why does my teacher pick on me or make me do things I couldn't do? Accused a student of stealing something that the aide had put away. This was a class that contained some pretty rough students, including one suspended multiple times for fighting and some gang members. She decided to go after a sweet, petite girl that never caused trouble and was generally popular with her classmates. This set off the entire class, which is when the sub went ballistic and started wildly throwing accusations and yelling at said students. Security eventually got called and took several students out. My first clue was when the sub got my cell number from the staff directory and went off for 20+ minutes about how bad my students had been. This was followed up with an extremely long email and a 2-page written note on my desk, plus a concern note from the administrator about not having appropriate sub-plans. She didn't follow them in the first place and decided to throw me under the bus. The next morning when I arrived at school, the students were waiting for me at the door. Once I got them calmed down enough to tell their side of the story, we had a discussion on how they could have handled the situation differently. I promised them never to get that sub again. On a related note, I had a good relationship with said rough children because I treated them with respect and fairness. They usually behaved for me. On a side note, it's insane how easy it is to get even the most crazy of individuals like a normal human if you just treat them with a bit of decency and respect. I was homeless for a while, but I had this sort of immunity to getting targeted by bullies because 1. I was friends with everyone, and 2. If I had something, I shared it, so there was no point in wondering if I was hiding something. I wasn't. I had the same experience in the psych ward. There's not a lot to do in there, so you may as well listen closely and figure out where someone else is coming from. There was one guy who wasn't eating, just waving his hands in a slow dance around his food, and even though the staff had some idea as to most patients' diagnoses, they couldn't get him to eat. So I asked him questions and treated him as a whole person, and I figured out that there were certain foods for which his ritual didn't take so long that his food got taken back. I forget what foods it was, but I talked to the staff and got him specially prepared foods for every meal, and boom, he only danced for like 20 minutes and still got fresh food, so he ate more regularly and more often. All the world needs more people like you. He sounds like he was suffering from OCD. That was my guess too, mostly because of the rituals and very rigid behavior in general. Left my perfectly prepped and neat desk an absolute disaster, did not follow the lesson plan, and took my gel pens. No, not the gel pens, frown. This happened to my colleague, but I was the classroom next door. My colleague was showing Clash of the Titans at the end of the year after a unit on ancient Greece. There is mild nudity at the beginning and the end of the movie, but they were in the middle of the movie, so there shouldn't have been an issue. He left the video paused at the right spot. We still had VCRs like 10 years ago when this happened, but the sub somehow managed to show both the nudity at the beginning and the end of the movie. The nudity scenes were hours apart and the class was only 40 minutes. Then, the sub wrote an email to the principal about how my colleague made him show nudity. There was a harpsichord in the front of the classroom used both for demonstration and performance. Not knowing what he was doing, the sub tried to tune 3 notes that had gone mildly out of tune while I was away. He managed to break the strings on all 3 notes and left a message inside reading, "Sorry about that." There was a secret harpsichord at my university. Not to everyone obviously, but most of the music majors didn't know it existed. I was teaching myself piano at the time and played the wheels off that bad boy after discovering it. If I could have strapped it to my car, I would have taken it home after spring semester. Now, I've heard there was a secret harpsichord that Thermalicianist played, and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Didn't do anything to the kids, per se, but told the kids that the reason I was out was because my mom was having breast cancer surgery. I teach K-5 and I specifically didn't tell the kids because I didn't want them to worry. So, when I came back, I had a bunch of kids come up to me asking about my mom, which was so sweet, but not something the kids should have had to worry about. Now that you said that, with all due respect, how is your mother? Is she doing okay? She doesn't want us kids to worry about it.